Bleeding purple and gold. From the heart of Los Angeles, this is the LakersNation.com podcast with your host, Trevor Lane.
Welcome to today's show. As always, we are powered by LakersNation.com and CLNS Media. Today's show is brought to you by MeUndies. Go to MeUndies.com/LakersNation for 20% off the most comfortable underwear ever. They are made from a material that is 3 times softer than cotton, so go check those out. And NatureBox. Go to naturebox.com/Lakers and get 50% off your first order of some absolutely delicious snacks. Well, we've got a ton to talk about in the world of the Lakers right now. A lot going on. It's been an exciting start to the season, and I'm really thrilled because we're doing a show today that I've been wanting to do for quite a while. I've got Harrison Fagan here co-hosting with me, and we also brought in Jon Rettinger from TechnoBuffalo. We're going to talk a little bit about sports and tech, and of course a ton about Lakers basketball. So guys, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Trevor. This is always fun.
So let's start off with the Lakers. I mean, Jon, what's your take on what's been happening so far in this season? I know you're a huge Lakers fan.
Huge.
Are you enjoying this season?
So first, it's nice to get a chance to talk Lakers. Usually I'm talking tech. My handle for Twitter and everything for the past year has always been John4Lakers. So it's nice to actually talk about what I'm for a change. I've loved, despite the losses, I've been loving this season. I mean, oddly enough, the Lakers are like a top third defensive team, which is not something I thought I would say this decade. It's been fun to watch Lonzo play, even if he's been less aggressive than people would want. But Kyle Kuzma, come on, that alone has made this season fun for me.
Yeah, Kyle Kuzma has been incredible. Like he legitimately looks like there's always kind of that cliche guy that everyone says like, oh, he would have won in the top 10 if they redrafted today. Like Kyle Kuzma right now looks like he could have maybe went in like the top 5 if they redrafted today. Like the only thing working against him is the age at this point. And you know, he's been unbelievable, like literally unbelievable. It's hard to believe how well he has been playing.
You guys saw in the Detroit game, he was calling his own plays in that third quarter. I mean, for a rookie, like 2 weeks into the season is unheard of.
Yeah, he's been absolutely unbelievable. I know, Harrison, you and I have joked in the past that Lakers Nation is just becoming Kuzma Nation at this point, right? I mean, should we just rename the site Kuzma Nation and just roll with it?
Yeah, I mean, right now that would probably be less SEO friendly, but within the next 2 weeks, if he continues this breakout, people are just going to be Kuzma fans, and they're going to be Googling Kuzma anyway. So we won't even need Lakers in the title.
But like, are we overhyping it? Just like as Laker fans of like recent years, there hasn't been much to celebrate. Is it like, is 2 weeks? Are we getting too excited and putting too much pressure on this kid that's just gonna collapse sort of under this? We just haven't had a rookie that does well in the start of the season in years.
Yeah, this could partially be Lakers fans just starving for some sort of a star, somebody who is going to come in and really hit the ground running. Brandon Ingram didn't do it. D'Angelo Russell didn't do it. Lonzo Ball has been up and down. So seeing a guy get out there and perform consistently, that's getting a lot of high praise. But you know what? It's not just Lakers guys that I'm seeing. It's national media that is starting to rave about Kuzma. And let me throw this out there. I saw an interesting player comparison on Twitter last night, and I wish I could remember who put this out there, but they said Kyle Kuzma reminds them of a young Carmelo Anthony. Is that accurate? What do you guys think?
I can see it a little bit in the ISO scoring, I guess, right. But like I feel like that might be getting a little too carried away, at least to start with.
Yeah, he's got way better hair, and if memory serves correctly, I think those numbers are better than Melo's his first 2 weeks in Denver.
Yeah,
I mean, they are.
Anytime you're comparing a guy like Kuzma to somebody that has had as successful of a career as Melo 2 weeks into the season, you might be getting a little bit carried away. But, I mean, we say that as people who have been talking about Lonzo Ball and comparing him to Jason Kidd and whoever else for, like, the entire year. So, like, I think this is just, like, fandom, and everybody's going to get excited, and they're going to look for the most favorable player comp. I've seen people saying, like, Paul George and stuff like that. Like, fans are excited about him, and with good reason. He's been really good.
So I got to ask. So you got the horrible news, Larry Nance out 4 to 6 weeks. If you're Luke Walton, long term, Do you plug Julius Randle into that starting lineup, or do you just roll with Kuzma and just see what happens?
That's the question. I mean, that's what everybody wants to know right now. And personally, if it's me, I say go for it. Throw in Kuzma. Let's see what he's got. So far, everything the Lakers have thrown at him has been. I mean, he's handled it. He's just handled it like it's no big deal. High pressure situations, he has no issues with it. I mean, the other night when the Lakers were down by, what was it? They were down 3. And they were in Portland. All the pressure is on them to come up with a big shot. 0.7 seconds left. Who do they go to? They go to Kuzma. He didn't hit it, but he was darn close. And I mean, to have that kind of confidence in a rookie, and for him to have that kind of confidence in himself, let's see what he can handle. Throw him the starting role and see if he can do it. That's my take, and we'll see what they end up doing.
Yeah, I've been banging that drum. I've been banging that drum since the preseason, but I just don't think I don't know that I anticipate that they're going to do it. Luke Walton really seems to like keeping his bench units intact and his 2 units. So this may be it might be time to dust off Luol Deng. I guess we'll get a look at that over this weekend.
You know, and
he's got all his DNP CDs.
Yes, yeah, those have been racking up, and so with his contract being at around $18 million, you got to find some way to get some value out of Luol Deng besides just being a good locker room guy, right? But I got to throw this out here. The whole Larry Nance injury thing, I kind of think it might be my fault. I had Nance on the show the day before the Portland game, and I may have asked him a little bit about the dunk contest as long as he stays healthy, and he kind of made a comment like, assuming there's no injuries and that sort of thing, knock on wood, and that he wanted to be first team all defense this season as long as he can stay healthy and all that. And now the very next night he gets an injury, breaks his hand. He's out now 4 to 6 weeks. He's having surgery on his hand. So I'm really hoping it didn't happen, but I think I may have accidentally jinxed Larry Nance Jr.
Yeah, so please send all hate mail to @Trevor_Lane.
Yeah. Who's your next player guest? Keep them all off the show.
Yeah, I think he's gonna end up being my last one at this point because it's gonna become like a bad omen if you come on this show. Hopefully not. Hopefully not for your sake.
It's like the new Sports Illustrated cover curse.
Now this is gonna be fun.
Oh God. Please tell me you didn't start the podcast with him with that.
Yeah, that was bad. Sorry. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about Lonzo here because, John, you mentioned that he's not being very aggressive, and that has been the complaint. He's been kind of up and down. We saw him, of course, explode in the game against the Phoenix Suns, and then other nights he's looked impressive, but then some nights he just kind of disappears. I saw his usage rate against the Trailblazers didn't even hit 5%. I mean, that's insanely low for a point guard to have that kind of usage rate. So what do you think? Is this guy gonna really become the player the Lakers need him to be? I'm seeing people online already call him a bust, but that's just kind of the nature of the internet. But what's your take?
I mean, he's playing like Kobe Bryant back in those games when he tried to make a point and would just take no shots. It's interesting to see. So, you can go from game 1, where always a bust, to being 1 assist shy of a triple-double game 2. I mean, the guy's still 2 weeks into the season as a rookie. And it's weird to say about a modern NBA player, especially a young one, but he appears to be too unselfish of a player. And I think he took a confidence hit with that shot not getting knocked down and sort of the subsequent weeks. I mean, he was 0 for, almost every three-pointer he was taking. And I think he's having trouble adapting that weird shot to modern NBA defenses. And I think it's taking a hit on his confidence. I will say, though, I believe he's number 2 on the team in rebounds, which for a point guard, and you mentioned that Jason Kidd analogy, is insane. So he's still finding plenty of ways to contribute. But the points, the aggressiveness, I think, is a bit of a warning sign moving forward.
Yeah, I think I like what you said about that he still found ways to be effective. And I think sometimes this is used as a cliche to describe guys who just like in college or whatever that are 4-year players and stuff like that. Like they just know how to win. But he does know how to do things that contribute to winning. Like even when he was playing against the Portland Trailblazers and he went 0 for 2 and just wasn't really aggressive at all. He wasn't turning the ball over, at least. He wasn't forcing passes. Yeah. And he was able to contribute. He was able to contribute on the boards a little bit. bit, and he had the highest plus minus on the team. The plus minus is not a perfect stat, but it just means that he wasn't doing every single thing wrong out there. Otherwise, there's no way his units would have been that effective.
Yeah,
Right,
I agree. And the fact that he's not drawing as many fouls, I mean, that he's not fouling as much for a rookie with his assignments is also pretty impressive, and I think a testament to his defense.
Yeah, he's actually been better defensively than I would have expected coming out of college. Everybody painted him as this player who just was going to get blown by every single time defensively, and it's happened from time to time. I mean, John Wall got a step on him and then dunked all over the Lakers, but for the most part, on most plays, I think he does a pretty solid job of playing defense. The Lakers have tried to hide him a little bit, but I do think that's a good point, that he is a better defender than what we gave him credit for coming out of college, and the rebounding is phenomenal. And it's, if you have a guard that can get back and rebound the way he does, that's an instant fast break. If he can get a board and then instantly grab and go, that's exactly the kind of thing that the Lakers are going to want, because their offense hasn't been that good. So they want a fast break as much as possible so they don't get stuck in the half court. And that's part of why Luke Walton is preaching that they need to put the foot down on the gas pedal and just get out and run constantly. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to consider here with Lonzo, and overall, I think we can say that the jury's still out. I mean, it's still super early to really be saying that a guy's a bust or anything like that. I mean, really, you got to give these guys at least a few years, right, before you start making those proclamations.
I mean, when you kept talking about bust, and I know it's probably appropriate to bring it up, but like, remember D'Angelo Russell's first couple weeks in the NBA and his summer league, for that matter?
No, we forget all of those things and just do the same thing to the next rookie.
Yeah, I mean, like, this guy was 1 assist shy of a triple-double in his second game. Like, clearly has NBA-level talent. And the teams, for the most part, except for, opening night, have been competitive in every game. They've been there. They couldn't close out the Portland game, but they've been competitive. And maybe they don't need him to be as aggressive as he had to be in college. Maybe he's just doing what he thinks the team needs.
Well, that's critical. Hopefully Lonzo does manage to find ways to be a little bit more aggressive and assert himself a bit more. But yeah, he is the kind of guy who just reads what the team needs. And Nance, by the way, is the same type of guy where he reads what the team needs and he just goes with it. But if he can keep this team close, and if the team in general can stay close in these games, right? I mean, they were right there with the Toronto Raptors. Every single game that they've lost, anyway, it seems like, aside from the Clippers game opening night, they've been really, really close. And at least you can make an argument that if a few plays go the other way, they could pick up a win. So if you can lose games like that, if those are going to be your losses, then that's the type of team that a free agent could look at and say, man, they're one piece away from being something, or maybe they're two pieces away from being something. And that's where maybe you get the attention of a LeBron James or of a Paul George. So far, so good in that regard.
Yeah, I agree. I'm smiling though every game Cleveland loses. I'm just like, keep losing. keep losing.
I know the Lakers have to be watching them and watching the Thunder probably as much as they're watching like their own games, just like keeping an eye on that team, like how those situations are going and how realistic the chance that they have at guys like LeBron and Paul George and all this stuff.
Do you think they have a realistic chance at either of those guys?
I think there's a chance. I don't think it's like the most likely outcome. I definitely think there's a chance. There's enough chatter and scuttlebutt that I think there's a chance.
Yeah, I don't know. The Russell Westbrook signing that massive mega extension, I think, put a nail in the coffin of Paul George coming to LA.
I don't know. He hasn't been that great in OKC so far. So, like, I think that if he ends up being kind of feeling like he's the odd man out there this year, or not having that good of a year personally, or the team kind of underperforms, or both, then I think there's like a chance that he takes off. Like, Oklahoma City is not necessarily like the more metropolitan style kind of place like Paul George seemed to want to live when he kept talking up that he just wanted to be in LA.
Listen, man, from your lips to Paul George's ears.
No, well, definitely not from Magic Johnson's lips at this point, right? Otherwise, that's just another fine waiting to happen.
Yeah, see, I'm not a Lakers employee. I work for Lakers Nation. I can tamper all I want.
And we encourage that.
Guys, let's take a short break so we can talk about MeUndies. MeUndies delivers the most comfortable underwear ever straight to your door. It's a phenomenal service, one that I use myself. They are the most comfortable underwear you will ever own. To check it out for yourself, go to MeUndies.com/LakersNation. They have tons of styles and patterns to choose from for both men and ladies. MeUndies has the perfect style for any personality. MeUndies has a feeling that is unmatched. They use a naturally soft fabric that is actually 3 times softer than cotton. And speaking from experience, I can say you really do notice the difference. For a limited time only, you can even check out MeUndies' first ever glow-in-the-dark print called Lights Out. Very cool stuff. So why not update your underwear drawer and glow at the same time? And if underwear isn't your thing, MeUndies also offers the softest socks in the world. I've been wearing this brand for the last few months now, and it has made a huge difference. I definitely notice when I'm wearing MeUndies because they are tremendously soft. Really, really love these guys. Now, if you want to get 20% off the best and softest underwear and socks you will ever own, plus free shipping and a 100% satisfaction guarantee, just go to MeUndies.com/LakersNation. That's right, you get all that. All you got to do is go to MeUndies.com/LakersNation. Go check it out.
So let's move on here because, John, we would be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about tech. And really, I wanted to get into this and blend tech and sports because it feels like those two worlds are really starting to come together. I mean, we've seen goal line technology taking over in soccer. We're seeing SportView player movement tracking in the NBA, as well as a number of different things. And we're starting to see wearable technology become a big trend. And there's some questions, too, about exactly how far this stuff should go. Do you just have a general take on how tech is starting to impact the world of sports? And then maybe we can get a little more detailed from there?
Yeah, absolutely. First, what a great time to be a nerd. I mean, this is the greatest time to be alive if you are
in human history.
Technology. I mean, in human history, it's like the nerds are finally cool. So there's a ton of tech that goes into not just NBA athletes, but also you're seeing it percolate down to the collegiate level, high school level, and even earlier. Because a lot of this technology that used to be really expensive and reserved for these professional athletes has gotten crazy affordable, with the onset of wearables and sort of the smartphone revolution that we're in right now, and especially with things like the iPhone 10, just hitting. So, I mean, there's a ton of stuff, and I can get more specific, but there are wearables you can wear, like the Blast basketball replay. It's like $150. That'll go through and it'll track metrics on your height of your jump, the degree at which you spin during a move, and sort of your length of your hang time. Like things like this used to be so expensive. You had people that used to clock you. You've got the Wilson connected basketball, you've got shot trackers, you've got verts. I mean, all these things that go in to coaches that can train the athletes. If you see somebody that's jumping off their right foot and not planting with both, you can actually now quantify that for them. You have players that can't say, I know what I'm doing it right. You have a coach who can say, look at your phone. Like, look, your movement's off. The ball's not coming off your fingertips. It's so easy to show this data right now. I think what some people are going to have a hard time with, though, is making the best use of that just insane amount of information that you can get.
Right. The Lakers have long been known as a team that maybe was a little bit behind the times in terms of looking at analytics and data and all that kind of stuff. Is there such a thing as too much, though? I mean, is there too much data? Have we hit that point? And also, I love that you mentioned that this is a great time. I always think, man, every day when you wake up, this is the way I always think of things when it comes to like smartphones and everything. Every day when you get up, you put your phone in your pocket, and in your pocket on that day, you have more information at your disposal than anyone in all of human history. Like, that's incredible. That's amazing to me where we've come, and it's starting to change the sports world. And so that's why I really wanted to dig into this stuff. So anyway, back to my original question: is there such a thing as too much?
When it comes to the Lakers, I don't think so. Analytics is sort of just starting to take a foothold in the NBA, but it's been huge in the NFL for years. There was a story that I think was the New York Times wrote about Rams punter Johnny Hekker. And they were talking about the percentage of times when he punts between the 5 and the 10-yard line. Teams have it's like a 25% of scoring. When it's between the 15 and the 20, it's 35%. Whatever those numbers were, it's really easy to quantify how valuable a player is what players need to do when you can show those numbers. It's a different sport, obviously, with basketball. But being able to pick players that statistically will improve your team, or at least have the best chance, is awesome to have. That's how you end up with guys like KCP coming in, how you end up drafting guys like Kuzma late in the first round. These analytics play a huge part in what a player could be. I mean, I think Kuzma's a perfect example. He was a 30-odd% shooter in college. Then you saw him at the draft combine going lights out. People weren't sure who the real player was, but the Lakers evaluated his shot, how his feet were planted, how the ball came off his hand, using all this analytic data they never would have done during the cup check era.
And I think there was something. Weren't there just analytics on like his threes from beyond a certain distance, like from actual NBA distance versus his threes from the college line? I think I remember reading something about that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the Lakers now we're tracking this, and they're making decisions based off of that. So when it comes to teams that have embraced analytics, like the Warriors, maybe too much, you can overthink what's already been working. But for the Lakers, at least they're trying something different.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that they added was they were talking up that fitness app that they have for their players now, where like all of them can keep track of their gym time and their personal kind of information statistics on how hard they've been working and what they've been working on, and just all of this personalized biometric like body data. But I guess one thing that I wanted to ask you, like, are there I would think that would start to eventually become a concern for the players union, because they don't want these teams being able to just have unlimited data on these guys, and because that's just not good for like player representatives if you're trying to get the most money from a team possible. And have you heard about any apps or anything like that? Like, are there ways to put protections in place so that these players can like kind of keep track of stuff that maybe they're doing just while in the facility? Or is technology, do you think, moving towards that?
Yeah, so there are actually very easy ways to do this. There are a lot of apps that'll track your fitness when you start working out. But like most apps, like Facebook or Instagram, you can turn off when they're tracking you. And a lot of these apps have a very clear toggle. So if you're at home working out with your kids and you don't want to be tracked, it's very easy to turn off. You could have geofencing. You could say whenever you come to the facility, the app's going to know you're there and start tracking. So there are a lot of ways. But when it comes to smartphones in general, it's always just a facade of security. It is very easy to get around anything that's there. I'm not saying the teams are doing this, but when sort of the listeners, when they're realizing what their smartphone can do, flipping a toggle is one layer of security. But for somebody who wants to know this information, it's very, very simple to get around it. I'm not saying that the teams are doing that. I'm just saying that if you're going to reap the benefits of technology, to be very keenly aware of some of the detriments.
Well, so if you're a professional athlete and you've got access to all of this information now, but the team may also have access to it, you've got ways that you can protect yourself potentially from sharing too much data about your own body with the team. But what about your social media? I mean, that's becoming a bigger and bigger issue for professional athletes. We're seeing guys get in trouble for tweeting things. I mean, of course, we know about D'Angelo Russell with the whole Nick Young incident. And I mean, what should a professional athlete do to protect themselves from making potentially very, very costly errors on social media?
First of all, Trevor, that was a professional level transition, by the way. I mean, especially with D'Angelo. I mean, that one goes down in the history books. I mean, it's the same rule for like normal people. Don't be stupid. If you film something, it's getting backed up to a cloud somewhere. If you take a picture, it's getting backed up to a cloud somewhere. I tell this to our readers and to our listeners, and I'd say the same thing to athletes. Make sure any electronic device you have, iOS, Android, any social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, it's super simple. Turn on two-step verification. Anytime you want to log in, you get a text to your phone, and you put in that code, and you can log in. So assuming no one steals your phone and can get access to your password to get into it, you are protected. And if you believe that happened with D'Angelo Russell, he didn't do it himself, that would have been prevented. It would have been very easily, kept private. It's just young people acting foolish. And certainly, athletes are young professionals with a ton of money and a ton of exposure, and they are prone to acting stupid.
So you heard it here first. Two-step verification could have saved D'Angelo Russell's Lakers career. I think is the conclusion that I took from that.
I mean, I could make a long list of what could have saved D'Angelo Russell's career. Two-step would probably be like tier 6 on that list, but certainly would have salvaged a friendship with Mr. Young.
Well, you know what? I mean, D'Angelo Russell, obviously he made the big mistake with the video, but it was, gosh, I want to say it was maybe a month or maybe 2 months before he got traded. I happened to be looking at my phone, and suddenly it pops up notifying me that a Instagram live video was starting, and it was by D'Angelo Russell. So I thought, that's weird. And so I clicked on it, and sure enough, it's D'Angelo Russell's phone in his pocket. He's started a live video, and it's him and his friends just talking about stuff. They were talking about like where they wanted to go out to eat, right?
Oh no!
But and it ended up being fine. It ran for like 2 minutes, and then he shut it off. But I instantly thought, oh no, please don't say anything inflammatory here. You know, I mean, it would have been strike 2 on social media for D'Angelo Russell. So your two-step verification process would have solved that, which could have been a bigger problem, but obviously it didn't end up amounting to anything because most people haven't even heard of this. But yeah, that actually happened where D'Angelo Russell started a live video in his pocket and fortunately didn't say anything to get him into any trouble.
I mean, yeah, that goes along with just don't be stupid. You know, two-step wouldn't have saved them there, but it would have saved someone from, hacking the account. I keep thinking of the funniest social media story recently was the Kevin Durant stuff with him forgetting to change accounts, before he started replying to the haters. And
it was his burner account.
He's just like, "Yep, I did it." Sorry.
I love how the NBA news cycle moves so fast that we've completely glossed over the fact that there was an NBA player with multiple burner accounts that was just like, yeah, that was immature of me. No, that was probably the craziest story of the summer that just I still feel didn't get enough attention. I feel like Kevin Durant should still be a meme for that.
100%. The fact that went away so fast, I was hysterical. And anybody who follows social media knew exactly what had happened. And you're just like, is he going to claim he got hacked? Or are you going to own up to it?
It was funny. That night, there were people saying, social media managers that I know that were saying that it had to have been a social media manager of his, that just made a mistake and they had made burner accounts and they would defend Durant or whatever it was. But it turned out it was actually, I was not willing to believe that it was actually him. And then it turned out he just fessed up to it. He's like, yeah, I was arguing with 15-year-olds online anonymously, for adult stuff.
It's crazy these guys care. These guys care that much. I mean, it just goes to show, I guess they're just, regular people with a lot of money.
Do you think it went away faster because he just fessed up to it? Because he didn't make up something like, oh yeah, I was hacked or it was my social media manager or whatever? Do you think that kind of killed the story faster?
Yeah, I think at that point it's awkward to ask him more about it. If it would, at least for the media, I guess. Once he is contrite and apologizes, it's you kind of have to move on, and maybe that takes some of the spotlight off of it. Whereas if he would have made a clear lie about it, oh yeah, I got hacked, then it would by apparently the lamest hacker of all time. Then I think people would have continued to make fun of him more for it.
Yeah, it stopped the story. If you lied about it, and then that becomes a story. Then you got Stephen A. Smith, being he is a liar, and then that becomes a story. At least you're man, that was a bonehead move. And then
you have Kevin Durant tweeting at him from a burner account, no, Kevin Durant is not a liar. He had nothing to work with in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, he loves Billy Donovan.
Guys, we're going to pause just one more time to talk about snacking. I'll admit I am a snacker, but I always struggle to snack but still eat good. I try to eat healthy, but it's not easy. I mean, we all want to eat better, but when it comes to snacks, sometimes it feels like it's either delicious but a billion calories or it's boring and tasteless and kind of good for you. Well, it doesn't have to be like that. You can actually up your snack game by going to naturebox.com/Lakers. NatureBox has over 100 snacks that taste good and are actually better for you. They're made from high-quality, simple ingredients, so no artificial colors, flavors, or sweeteners. You can feel good about what you're eating. My favorites are their mini snickerdoodle cookies. I love those things. I'm absolutely addicted to them. My wife loves the dark cocoa nom noms. She thinks those are wonderful. She's a big chocolate fan, so definitely those are high on her list. Now, you need to make sure that your new snack obsession comes from NatureBox. They add new snacks every single month, inspired by real customer feedback, the latest food trends, and professional chefs. It's very, very simple. You just go to naturebox.com/Lakers, choose the snacks that you want, and NatureBox delivers them right to your door. It doesn't get any easier than that. And if you try something that you don't like, you don't have to eat it. NatureBox will actually replace it for free, so there's zero risk for you. Right now, you can save even more. NatureBox is offering Lakers Nation fans 50% off your first order. All you got to do is go to naturebox.com/Lakers. That's right, naturebox.com/Lakers. Get 50% off your first order. Again, naturebox.com/Lakers. Go check it out and up your snacking game.
So, one thing that when I was getting ready for this show, I started thinking about what phone is most popular with NBA players. I mean, we're talking about them being on Twitter and social media and all this kind of stuff, and they're all doing it. When you go into the locker rooms, they're all on their phones and everything, checking up on things before games, after games, all that kind of stuff. And I started thinking, which one is most popular among them? So I checked around, asked a few people, super informal poll, not scientific at all, but the result that I got was that the majority of professional athletes and coaches are using iPhone. And John, I wanted to get your take. I was looking at your videos online when I was trying to decide whether or not I was going to purchase the iPhone 10, and it seems like you're kind of the guy to go to on this. Is that the right call for professional athletes to be using the iPhone? Is that what's going to protect them the most, or should they be looking for something else?
So first, let me ask: Did you get the iPhone 10 before I answer?
Okay, that's a long story. I did, and then get this: T-Mobile, which is my carrier, who I've loved, I've been with them for like 10 years. They deleted my order on accident while they were changing something, and then bumped me to the back of the line. So I may not get it till like December. And yeah, I've been pretty angry with them lately. But yeah, so that's it's in the works. Hopefully I'll get it sooner than later. I did order it, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
So the answer to your question is there isn't a cut or dry answer. It depends who you ask. Android, if you use it as you're supposed to, is secure. Apple's ecosystem is extremely secure as well. There isn't a better choice for athletes. There's probably more options when it comes to wearables and accessories for the iPhone. That's probably why you see it more often instead of having to carry two phones. One used for training, one you use for other. It makes it a lot easier. I know a lot of athletes also are using the Apple Watch for tracking workouts, so it just makes things a little bit simpler for them, especially with the new Apple Watch Series 3 out. I would imagine that's probably the reason. There's a lot of sensors that are built in, especially to the iPhone 10 or the iPhone 8, that make it a really nice companion for athletes. And you can find Android devices that have similar features, but it's not every Android device. You have to be selective with which one you get. I think for a lot of people who aren't into technology, they don't want to do the homework. They'll just know, like, I'll get an iPhone, my friends are on iMessage, my wife's on iMessage, it's just going to make things easy. And that's how a lot of people make their sort of phone buying purchases.
I was going to guess that it was probably the iMessage thing because I before this semester at school where I was running a newsroom, I didn't realize how many people are on iMessage and how angry some people will get when you don't have iMessage and they get a different colored bubble, I guess, or it causes some type of problem. I don't know. I don't fully understand it, but a lot of people are on iPhones and are really addicted to iMessage, and so that would have actually been my guess too.
Yeah, definitely, Harrison. When we're on our Lakers Nation group text, if I text the other guys, I get it. It comes through super fast. And I get a nice, pleasing to the eye blue bubble on my iPhone. But then when I include you in it, it takes forever, and it comes in green, and it's this ugly green. So thank you for that, Harrison.
So here's what's interesting about that. So yeah, there's certainly difference in colors. iMessages are encrypted, and they're end-to-end encrypted. So when Harrison, you're sending a message to Trevor or vice versa, that message is much more difficult to be intercepted. Your cell carrier can't just turn over records of your text like you can on S. So that's perhaps a big reason why you might want to use a platform like iMessage. Android has equivalents with Allo when you use sort of incognito messages, but keeping things sort of off cellular records is a big reason that a lot of people decide to use an iPhone.
I did not know that. I didn't realize that was off the record and all that kind of stuff. But that would definitely be a reason for professional athletes to use an iPhone. And it does seem like it's the more popular phone amongst most of them. So definitely good to know. Before we wrap up here, let's talk real quick about the fan experience. Because what I'm noticing going to more and more arenas is we're starting to see teams have to come up with ways to convince people to come to games and support their whole dual screen addiction here, right? I mean, we're living in a society where if you forget your phone, right, if you drive down the block and you forget your phone, you're turning around and going back to get it because we can't be without our phones anymore. If you're watching TV, you're on your phone and you're watching TV at the same time. If you're at the game, you're watching the game, but you're also doing stuff on social media on your phone. You're taking a selfie and you're putting that out or whatever. So we're starting to see more and more teams sort of accept that and go with it as a way to enhance the fan experience. Jon, what's your take on that push? Is that a positive thing, and where do you see that going?
Yeah, so I love technology, but when it's technology for technology's sake, I'm not a fan. I look at like 3D TVs, like that was like the thing that everybody was shoving down our throats for like 2 years, and then it went away. You get this second screen experience. You could put on virtual reality glasses or a viewer and plug your phone into it, and you could seem like you're in the arena. I don't know. Maybe this is the old school in me, but when I'm at a basketball game, I just want to watch the game. I'm happy that my phone doesn't work when I'm there. I think it's unnecessary. I think it's technology for technology's sake. I think it's something filtering down saying, this is what millennials want. You got to do something. You got to provide something with their phones to keep them entertained. I don't feel it's necessary. I think it detracts from the experience of going to a game, the sights and the sounds of being at arena. That's what makes it different than watching the game from home. When you're trying to simulate a home experience at an arena, it just seems weird to me.
I'm actually kind of with you. I've noticed that like when I'm at games, I dim the screen on my laptop. Like I try to like put my phone down because otherwise like I miss stuff. And the whole point, what's the point of being there otherwise?
Yeah, I totally agree. The NCAA tried it with being able to seem like you're on the 50-yard line for the college football playoffs, and it just fizzled. Nobody used it. So I don't know. Maybe it'll change and adapt, but I don't see a use for it. I don't use it. I don't advocate people use it. I think if you're somewhere, be somewhere.
Agreed. I mean, a little surprised that one of the top tech guys out there is advocating not using tech, but I mean, it's a very good point that you can kind of lose, the beauty of where you're at in the moment because you're so busy with your screen. And especially, I think, NBA tickets or sports tickets in general are pretty expensive, especially if you're going to a Lakers game. You're spending a lot of money to be there. So be there, right? I mean, don't be on your phone the entire time. Although I'm certainly guilty of checking my phone probably too much while I'm at games and everything. I know we all kind of do it at this point, right?
Yeah,
we all check our phones too much in general.
Everybody does it, but like I don't need a second screen experience. Like I don't need to hold up my phone and get augmented reality and see Lonzo ball stats. I look up at the scoreboard. Like I like that experience. I think you just lose so much when you're looking at the world through your screen.
That's a great point. I agree with you completely, Jon. And let's wrap things up here by going back to Lakers basketball just for a moment. So with the season moving forward, what are you really hoping to see from the Lakers in the next few months as we push towards the trade deadline? Because a lot of decisions are going to have to be made before we hit the trade deadline about who's going to stay and who's going to go and all that kind of stuff, because we know the Lakers are certainly going to be active. So what are you looking for out there?
So, I mean, the obvious answer is like keep the defense intensity, let that stay. But the real answer is to take her for Luol Deng. Somebody, that wants that contract. Obviously, keep an eye on Julius Randle. And that they couldn't agree on that extension. I think his role with the team, at least right now, is tenuous. I mean, to say the least. I want to see the defensive intensity stay. I like to see Lonzo get a little more aggressive. And I like what I see. It's a well-coached team that seems like they're playing for something. I don't know what that something is. It's probably not a playoff spot. Maybe it's each other. But I like to see that continue, and I hope that these tough losses don't take a toll.
Is there an augmented reality app the Lakers could use to make Luol Deng look like a good player?
Make him look like Luol Deng from the Heat. Just hold up your phone. You can suddenly play again.
Yeah, exactly. They just gotta like find a way they gotta find an executive that didn't turn on two-factor authentication and just like forward those like Photoshop Laker jerseys onto Luol Deng on like forward those highlights along and get them to trade for him.
Yeah. What can you get for Luol Deng? Does it have to mean Luol Deng and one of the young guys?
Yeah, it would have to. They'd probably have to attach Ingram.
Yeah, it's what will you have to add to Luol Deng to get somebody to take him? I don't think you're going to get anything for him, really.
Yeah.
Not right now, anyway. So that's that's going to be really tough for them to try to move Deng and get something. I mean, if they can get somebody to take on his salary, it's going to cost. Harrison, you think it's going to cost Ingram? I mean, would a pick do it? Maybe if they give up an unprotected first, do you think that's enough?
Maybe an unprotected first. The thing that I was kicking around the other day is, has Kuzma played well enough to do it? I'm not saying the Lakers should do that, like before people come and burn my Twitter account to the ground because they have decided that Kuzma is their new god. But like I don't think that gets it done because I doubt an NBA team would be willing to buy in to 2 weeks of really good play enough to say, okay, that's enough for me to commit to 3 more or like 2.5 more years of Luol Deng. But if he continues to play well, maybe it makes them think a little bit more about moving Ingram. Maybe it makes them think a little bit about moving him as part of that, as a sweetener. I don't know. It'll depend on – I don't know that they're going to move Deng until they have commitments from these max players over the summer. They're going to say, like, look, we can attach this guy and get out from under his contract, and then we can sign both of you guys.
Ooh, there's a good question there. What would cause more outrage, attaching Ingram to Deng or Kuzma to Deng right now?
I think it's Ingram, but it's close.
Yeah, I think I gotta go with Kuzma on that. Just the Lakers love the future. Ingram looked good. Certainly questionable defense at the end of that Portland game, but I think people are betting on the future, and it looks like Kyle Kuzma, who looks like Ben Simmons. So the future's Ben Simmons, is what I'm saying.
Well, that's that would certainly be cool if he does turn into Ben Simmons. I don't know that he will. I've been watching Ben Simmons, and man, he's pretty darn impressive. My goodness, I mean he's almost averaging a triple double as a rookie, which is scary.
Really good.
Yeah, it sounds blasphemous, but he looks like a little bit like the next like LeBron or Magic Johnson type player. He's been that good early on.
Yeah, it's hard to find a knock with Simmons' game. And Philly looks scary in the future. That team's got to be number one in any future rankings.
If they can ever all be healthy at once, like to turn injuries off in 2K, I guess.
Exactly. Trust the process, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Go ahead, Harrison.
No, I was going to say, yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe that's like a wearable technology that the Sixers can get is like functioning limbs for their players.
Dude, when Embiid's healthy, man, that guy, their team is fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Like they're going to be, if they ever can, all joking aside, if they ever can all manage to get healthy in like 2 or 3 years, that's like a conference finals contender in the East at least.
Yeah, agreed.
Yep. Yeah, no question there. Well, I guess we should probably wrap things up here. We've gone from Lakers into tech and back to Lakers again, and man, we've covered a ton here. John, can't thank you enough for coming on here with us. Really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for having me. A chance to talk sports is like a dream for me, so I really appreciate the opportunity.
Well, we'll definitely have to have you come on again in the future and join us because this has been great, right, Harrison?
Yeah, no, I appreciate you bringing me in to guest co-host this episode, and it's always fun joining the show.
All right, well, you can find John on Twitter at John4Lakers, and of course you can find TechnoBuffalo everywhere, especially on YouTube. Go check it out. Some phenomenal material there. Help me out a ton whenever I'm trying to make a decision on all my different devices and things like that. So go check that out. That's going to about do it for today's show. Don't forget, go check us out on iTunes. Make sure you rate, review, and subscribe to our show. And if you leave a question in a review, we will make sure we answer it on air. Don't forget, guys, go to LakersNation.com. We are a one-stop shop for all things Lakers. And, of course, check out MeUndies.com/LakersNation for 20% off some super soft underwear, and NatureBox.com/Lakers for some delicious snacks. My name is Trevor Lane, and this has been the Lakers Nation podcast. See you next time.